Hello everyone, welcome to my complete guide on stippling polymer firearms and accessories. In this video we will be going over a basic introduction to stippling and how things typically work, safety while stippling and other things to consider, tools you'll need for the job, and the process itself with some techniques. And I'll be stippling an M&P shield later in this video. This video will be broken up into a series of chapters, so feel free to skip ahead to a more desired chapter. Links will be provided below to make skipping to chapters a lot easier. Enjoy the video. So what stippling basically is burning a pattern or small series of hole into any sort of grip frame of a firearm, knife, tool, etc. to improve your grip texture. When it comes to firearms, it helps improve your draw. It helps with recoil management because with more slippier guns like the M&P shield that I'll be featuring in this video later on, it'll rotate in your hand a little bit when gripping, so the texture really digs into your hand and helps out with recoil management quite a bit. Some common fears of stippling is typically people just don't trust themselves doing it. If you follow this video, it'll be pretty easy to do and you realize that it's honestly not too difficult to do. Another fear people have is simply just ruining their gun and making it ugly. As long as you take your time and follow this, or if you practice quite a bit, you're not going to ruin anything. Another fear people have is that it'll devalue my gun. No, it's not going to devalue your gun. If you do it properly, again, it will maybe even in some cases up the value with the gun, especially when it comes to handguns, because a lot of people that actually are shooters will go out and they'll either reprofile grips, they'll texture, and they'll improve their tools that they have to work with. So most of the times people will like to see that kind of thing if done properly. I recommend before jumping into stippling is doing a lot of practice. One way to do that is to go out and buy a magazine. Polymer magazines are really good to practice on. Also, in the case of like the M&Ps and Glocks, they come with separate back straps and they're really cheap to buy, so you can buy like say an M&P back strap for like $2, stipple it, and that's a good way to learn on how to stipple. Also, usually they'll come in polymer boxes as well, and you can use those polymer boxes to practice stippling on, or any sort of hard plastic to practice on is my recommendation, because you'll learn how different softness of polymer reacts to different types of heat. And it's just a learning curve that's not too steep, but if you follow this video and you practice, you should be able to do it with no problem, and eventually you'll end up stippling everything you have. So let's move on to the next chapter. So I know safety is typically pretty self-explanatory, but I feel I should just go over a couple of things. One, make sure your gun is unloaded. There's no point of sweeping yourself with a loaded gun while you're working on it. It's just kind of stupid. Two, work in a well-ventilated area. Fans, open windows are ways to keep your area ventilated. Three, there's a little bit of smoke that'll come off the polymer when it's burning, so if your eyes irritate easily, I recommend wearing some safety glasses. Four, when you're not using your tool, go ahead and unplug it or just simply turn it off. There's no need to leave it around. Someone might get burned. If for any reason you have to leave it on to heat it up and you have to go somewhere else, make sure you warn others around you that's something not to touch, or leave something that'll warn them. Six, take frequent breaks. If you have back issues, you're going to be leaning over a lot, so take breaks, get fresh air, etc. Okay, so this is the tool I use. I don't really have a lot of experience with other tools, so I'm just going to show you what I use. It's a Creative Versa tool by Walnut Hollow. It's basically a hot knife, and it comes with some extra bits like a knife, bigger tips, things like that. It also features adjustable temperature, which is recommended. There's probably some other tools at your local craft store if you go and just check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below for this one, because this is the only one I can really recommend because I know it works, and it can be had for anywhere between $30 and $40, and the adjustable temperature is really nice. Another thing you'll need too is a good vise. Usually these hot knives stands they come with to hold them while they're heating up are kind of garbage, so a vise is used to hold them a lot more secure and safely. Also, you can use a vise to hold the gun or knife or whatever you're using to stipple in place while you're working. So now we're going to stipple a handgun itself. Now this person who wants this stippled doesn't want the whole frame stippled, similar to my M&P Pro here. As you can see, it goes all the way up to the top, and this is not stippling, this is 3M tape. Because of USPSA production rules, I'll just take this off if I ever go to a serious match where they say you cannot have this. But typically this is as much as you can do in IPSC, USPSA, stuff like that, depending on what division you're in. This person, who wants this done, only wants the back strap here where the original stippling is in the magazine release. Now, you can get away with that, but it's not recommended. What I recommend is to go all the way up, depending on what you like, because a lot of your grip comes from this hand here and coming on to it just like that. So getting a lot of stippling here really helps. Also, a good place to stipple too is a little bit right here, so this will feel different than your trigger, and under stress, training yourself for different feelings to know this is off the trigger and this is on the trigger can help out if that kind of thing would help you. Also right here where you can rest your thumb is another good place. A lot of people will build up a ledge, but that's also not recommended because then you'll have issues fitting in holsters. If you keep this low profile and not make it too fat, and if you have issues fitting in holsters, you can always sand it down, but I've never had any issues with fitting in holsters, stippling up here. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, over time you'll learn what type of polymers are softer than others. The M&P back straps on the typical M&P are softer plastic than of the actual frame itself. So these are softer, therefore they do not have to be burned as quickly, and they're a little bit trickier to stipple, but not impossible. The frames on M&Ps, in this case we're going to be talking about M&Ps, they are a little harder, and this also will go with Glocks. They're also a little harder, and on the shield in particular, this is not a softer plastic, it's all the same plastic. So get practice using magazines, because like PMags are the closest thing to polymer they use on pistols. So practice on PMags is my recommendation. So best thing to do is once your hot knife or craft knife or whatever you're using has heated up to the proper temperature you have it at, go ahead and do a test dot. And this will be hard to see. On this gun, I have to burn it for a little longer. And go ahead and start making a series of dots. Again, this may be hard to see, but they're my test burns, and you will learn eventually what type of polymer you're using and when to let go and when not. Just don't jam the knife in there and pull it out. If you have to hold it there for quite a while, your knife's probably not hot enough, so make sure you use a knife that gets pretty hot. Work in circles. Don't be too uniform. You see a lot of guys who will make their holes like perfect straight lines in checker, and that's fine. If you like that kind of look, you just get a lot better look, and it just looks a lot cleaner when you're done, and it doesn't look so symmetrical. It looks more natural. Also, try to move the work, not your knife, so you can keep kind of the same consistent angle. And I'm working with about 2 feet of space here, so this is a little tricky, and I'm doing this through a viewfinder, but just do small circles like so. Again, work kind of in a circle, and when you get to a line, kind of do a circle and then work your way back out and then go back through for the best effect. Now with the shields and M&Ps in general, they kind of have a natural like stay within the line type thing, so you will be able to stay within the line easier. If you'd like to do the frame, I recommend using masking tape and kind of marking off where you want your stippling to go, but try not to burn the tape itself. Also, you may be tempted to feel your work while you're working. Wait till it cools down, because the plastic is still hot. One, you could burn yourself, and two, you'll flatten what you've worked and it won't be as grippy as it could be. Also, if it's too grippy, you can sand down, as I said earlier. Also, let a lot of slack in your knife so you can actually move and work around. Yeah, using extension cords if you're far away from an outlet really helps out. Also, if you see little areas that are not quite there, as you can see right there is kind of a little area where it's a different color, Just go back in and do a couple dots, and you'll fix that right up. Get a closer look in here. Okay, sorry about that. I had to charge my camera, it died. So, back to this. Remember also to take your time. You're usually going to be in no rush, so there's no point of going quickly. The more time you take, the better it'll turn out. Also, take frequent breaks. If you have back issues, it'll bother you being hunched over on a table doing this whole time. Okay, and sorry about the background noise, my Windows opens for ventilation purposes, but as you can see, the back is pretty much done. I'll probably go in and touch up some areas that I'm kind of missing. It's a little dark in here, so, and I've let it kind of cool a little bit, so a lot grippier already. So you can see it looks pretty good. And another issue people might have is, oh, will it devalue the gun? And if you do it properly like this, in most cases it can even up the value of a firearm. A lot of companies do work like this and sell them for a little bit higher, so it's not going to affect any sort of value of the gun whatsoever. And it's a tool anyway, it's meant to be used, and if this helps you use this tool better, then it helps you. It'll be better in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the front strap and the magazine release. And sorry if it goes out of camera. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Sorry if it goes out of camera, I'm just trying to get around this, and I still want to do a good job and try to keep it in camera as best as possible. If you're using an adjustable temperature hot knife or crafting knife or whatever, make sure it's on the temperature you want. If it's on the cord, like the one I'm using is, it could get bumped and it'll either turn off or it'll go on a lower temperature, and then it won't be consistent with everything else. So just make sure it's on the setting you want all the time. Okay, so the front back strap's pretty much done. You can see there. Good way to check your work too is to go under different light sources. Different lights kind of shows your different imperfections, so you can go back and fix them later. But this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do the magazine release, and we should be good. But it feels good. Definite improvement, especially on M&Ps. It's a definite improvement. This is new to me. This is something Smith & Wesson may have done. So if you're doing a shield, you can't do the magazine release. It's actually polymer coated steel, I guess, which is awesome that it's steel. But so you can't actually stipple that. I was wondering why my knife was doing nothing. You can see, I'll use this as an example. This one is plastic, or yeah, so it's a little thicker, so you can do it. But that's pretty cool. I actually didn't know these were steel. So that's an improvement. Usually they're polymer. That's pretty cool. Well, I guess I can't do that. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the final product. I hope you enjoyed the video. I spent a long time working on it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Check out my channel for some other videos. If you like this one, you'll probably like my other ones too. So feel free to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.